This time I will introduce a shocking analysis of the exiled Chinese Guo Wangui about CCP's strategy. Although he has sometimes been accused of spreading groundless rumors, few people know the internal situation in China regarding the CCP as exactly and extensive as Guo Wangui. In fact, many Chinese experts see and get information from Guo Wangui's video. When no one predicted what will happen in Hong Kong, he was the only one who said exactly 3 years in advance that the one country, one system would come into effect in Hong Kong. And a number of incidents happened in Hong Kong in 2019 and 2020 just as he said. Guo Wangui made a live streaming during the Chinese New Year holiday and exposed the CCP's secret project across Asia, including the Myanmar crisis. He says the CCP will attempt to take over Hong Kong and Myanmar as well as Singapore, and he called this as Xi Jinping's 13579 plan. I will explain this later, but the CCP's ultimate goal is to take over Singapore. He said the CCP is behind Myanmar's military coup. He also points out that the CCP's ambition toward Myanmar is part of the 13579 plan. The CCP's goal is to gain control of Singapore in the long term and to gain access to routes from Iran, Myanmar, Singapore to the Strait of Malacca. On February 1st, Aung San Suu Kyi was detained because of the coup in Myanmar, and Guo Wangui said all of this was only possible because the CCP secretly supported it. According to Guo Wangui, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi had a serious talk with Myanmar's military before the coup. He states that Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi said like this: "If the military instigates a coup, the Chinese Communist Party will actively defend Myanmar at the UN to prevent it from being reprimanded. If the US and Western countries impose economic sanctions, China will provide economic support. If you need weapons, China will give it. If a local civil war breaks out, we can send the troops to help." At the time, Wang Yi reportedly requested Myanmar's specialties, including jade and its forest resources, in exchange for supporting the coup in Myanmar. Actually, at the meeting of the UN Security Council meeting to discuss the Myanmar situation, China declined to intervene, calling it a domestic problem. So meeting ended without any further objections. In addition, 5 Chinese cargo planes have landed at Yangon airport since the coup, although virtually all foreign planes are banned from landing in Myanmar. It was suspected that these 5 Chinese cargo planes were loaded with telecommunications equipment and weapons in order to suppress the demonstration in Myanmar. But China casually claimed that it was only seafood cargoes. Guo Wangui also criticized Aung San Suu Kyi. He said that she tried to gain advantages between Western countries and the CCP, but she failed. Guo Wangui also warned other Asian countries trying to gain advantages between Western countries and the CCP, just as Aung San Suu Kyi did. Also, he warns that this relationship with the CCP poses a life and death issue, and said don't even think of dreaming of making a profit from it. Also, in the live streaming, Indian Prime Minister Modi was highly regarded by Guo Wangui. Modi strongly banned CCP applications, including TikTok in India. He praised Modi for his careful elimination of the risk, as these Chinese applications are very likely to intervene in various political issues, including elections. Guo Wangui said he has document 13579 in his hands in 2017 and turned it over to the FBI. The purpose of giving confidential information to the FBI at the time was that the US should take timely countermeasures against the CCP's infiltration and interference, including biological weapons. In 13579 plans, 1 stands for Iran. The Chinese pronunciation of the number 1234 is Ir Sanse, and E has the same pronunciation as the first letter of Iran. 3 means a powerful biological weapon will be built in 3 years, and 5 means attacking the enemy with the biological weapon for 5 years. 7 signifies the plan to defeat the 7 allies against China. The countries are members of the 5 Eyes: Australia, Canada, New Zealand, UK, USA, and also Japan, India. And 9 means overthrowing Singapore's Lee Hsien Loong resign by 2026, the 9 year from 2017. According to Guo Wangui, Singapore's Lee Hsien Loong is the CCP's ultimate destination in Asia. He warned that from 2025, communists in Singapore will not hide about themselves and walk proudly through the streets, because the communist maneuver in Singapore began since 2010. The CCP's goal is to eradicate the Lee Kuan Yew and Lee Hsien Loong in Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew, who died in 2015, is the father of Singapore who ruled Singapore for 26 years and created what is now Singapore, and Lee Hsien Loong is his son. Guo Wangwei said Lee Hsien Loong is a strong anti-communist, but he is quite naive and has no political strategy skills. For example, Lee Hsien Loong met Henry Kissinger in United States before, and he asked Kissinger how to deal with communism. Guo Wangwei criticized Lee Hsien Loong for saying that to Kissinger. He said, how can he ask such a question to someone who is going to sell him? According to Guo Wangwei, Malaysia has already fallen victim to the CCP to some extent, as demonstrated by the 1MDB scandal involving Chinese-Malaysian businessman Zhou Lo. The 1MDB was a huge corruption scandal in which a former Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak, along with his close associates, was accused of using $4.5 billion through a state-owned investment company founded in 2009. Even Goldman Sachs, who was involved in this case, was fined $2.9 billion. And that case caused a stir when it became known that China had proposed to Malaysia that China could suspend the NMDB investigations in the United States and other countries. Also, according to Guo Wangwei, the CCP is trying to designate the Chinese money as the key currency in Saudi Arabia. If Chinese money becomes the key currency in Saudi Arabia, then Saudi Arabia will decouple from the US, and he predicted that it would eventually cause a catastrophe throughout the Middle East, starting with the UAE. He also mentioned about Iran. Everyone knows that Iran is already an anti-US state, but CCP wants Iran to fight with the US, because if Iran becomes vulnerable due to the fight with the United States, its dependence on the CCP will increase and the Strait of Hormuz will eventually fall to the CCP. The CCP has great ambitions to dominate the Middle East and Africa beyond Asia. Although Xi Jinping is taking action on the 13579 plan, Guo Wangwei said that all of these plans were drafted by Jiang Zemin from the start. Most of the plans that Xi Jinping is pushing for now are ambitions that Jiang Zemin has dreamed of. This includes a constitutional amendment to full lifetime power in Communist Party of China, a peace-free and peaceful lab to develop biological weapons and then use them to attack the United States. All of this was Jiang Zemin's previous dream. Guo Wangwei pointed out that Jiang Zemin's son was unable to be a president of China due to his kidney problems. As a result, Xi Jinping came to power and carried out all the plans instead of Jiang Zemin. According to Guo Wangwei, there is a political difference between Xi Jinping and Jiang Zemin in terms of Taiwan, which is becoming a problem. While Jiang Zemin wanted to take over Taiwan with soft power, Xi Jinping prefers armed reunification. Guo Wangwei also pointed out that the battle between Shanghai clique and Xi Jinping's government would intensify. The Shanghai clique ignores Xi Jinping and Wang Qishan, vice president of China. It is known that Xi Jinping never learned English in his entire life, and that's why the Shanghai clique regards Xi Jinping as an ignorant person. Wang Qishan is said to have risen suddenly thanks to his marriage to the daughter of the Yao Yilin, former vice premier of the People's Republic of China. Guo Wangwei predicted that the Shanghai clique, including Jiang Zemin, have a too strong ego that they will not wait for Xi Jinping to die naturally while he is president of China. In his opinion, Han Zheng is China's most likely next leader. In the end, the struggle between Jiang Zemin's people and Xi Jinping's people will never end until both sides collapse completely. What do you think of what Guo Wangwei said? Thanks for watching, comments, likes, and sharing. Be safe.